I sound a bit low energy because I am just keeping it real. Been a trying last couple of weeks, but I'm here. I'm alive, so I'm grateful. Choosing to count all my little blessings one by one and just do my best to keep it going. Just go ahead and jump right into it. So I wanted to talk about something I've been thinking about. Like we're just seeing so much what's going on, like actively in this moment in the country and stuff like that, and just a lot of civil um, unrest and just a couple of cases I had recently learned about. Um, Again, I'm not gonna go into those too in depth, but it just made me think like, where is the light in this world? Like, I'm really having a hard time seeing the upside of things when it's like all around us is just nothing but just civil unrest. People are like going at each other like cats and dogs, or people are, just getting to a point where they're fed up, they're tired of disrespect, they're tired of um just basically being bullied, they're tired, and you can see it. Like, I feel like our world is at an impasse with a lot of this stuff like that. Hello, welcome in. But it just made me think, like I said again, where's the light? Where it's getting harder and harder to find it. And I typically consider myself an upbeat, optimistic person. And I always like to see the glass half full instead of half empty type of situation. But it's really like dawning on me that it just feels like there's like no real goodness in the world anymore. And then just like that, I see another trend that's circulating around right now about a young lady. I think it was a TikTok video saying that like black people are gingers and stuff like that. And I don't know why it instantly like warmed my heart. And I'm like, there's the light. There it is. So it's just crazy how seeing that instantly made me like have that little semblance of hope for humanity yet again. But I know just where we are with our country specifically, I know we got a lot of work to do, but just seeing that trend going around, I'm like, there's the positivity, there's the, people just loving each other and celebrating each other for our differences, not tearing each other down because of said differences. But on the flip side, because of course there's duality to everything, we have what's going on where, like I said, people are on the other side that are just tired of, a lot of the ish that's been going on for ages at this point. And so people are tired, they're ready to make change happen, and I can completely understand that. And I myself have had to recently try to make some change happen for my own personal situation and stuff like that, and may not have went oh shoot sorry may not have went the way that I hoped for or wanted. But seeing, like I said, that video with the ginger community just gave me a little bit of hope, because I'm like, it's so easy to fall into that cycle of just negativity, because that's all I feel like we're being spoon fed all the time is just negativity. So when that's all you're being, shown, when that's all you're being um, surrounded by, it's easy to get sucked in. And I can admit I got sucked in. Like, I got sucked in. My heart started to grow a little colder. That's why, like, with a lot of the behaviors from me and stuff is like really been out of my character, because I'm like, this isn't like me at all. But I found myself on that spectrum of people. It's like, I'm just tired of being sick and tired. I'm tired of doing all the things society and the world tells you to do, and you're still getting screwed. Like, it's really frustrating. And to a certain degree, because again, I recognize my position, and where I am and where other people are. I'm not ignorant to that, but I am a person, like I said, that I can empathize with anyone. Again, if that's, wherever we can have that common ground, that's where we should meet each other, is that common ground. But when you have people that believe that Grand Rising, but when you have people that believe that the way that they want to navigate this life and live this life is how everyone else should do it, I feel like that's where we keep, having all of this civil unrest and people bumping heads and not just respecting that some people live differently from you, and that's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world, but for some people it is. So like I said, seeing, I'm just personally speaking for myself. I don't know about you all, if you all have been feeling the same way, but I've been having to work that much harder to find the things that are positive in this world and kind of cling to it. Again, I'm still not, I'm not ignoring the other side, because I know that, like I said, there's people who just, oh, everything's fine. There's nothing wrong. What are they talking about? Everything's great. And I'm not one of those people. Like, I see everything as it is, not how I hope it would be, not how I want it to be, but exactly as it is. And I've been finding that I hadn't been feeling that positive about a lot of things. And I'm not a person that oftentimes looks outside or looks to the world to find things to be happy about or whatever, because naturally I generate my own happiness. And I recognize that that's not something everyone can do or will do or wants to do. Other people look for external validation, for just to get up and go on about their everyday. And that's, again, I get it, but I don't get it because, again, that's just not something that I personally do. I always try to look in and then, hope that it reflects out. But like I said, that's not always the case, at least from my experience. But yeah, I'm fighting hard to keep looking for the light, to keep looking for reasons to not give up on this world and just like F it. Cause I know, like I did my short earlier saying that I want to leave. And I'm like, yeah, that's me at the extreme. Like, I just don't care. Like, win, lose, or draw, I don't care what happens. Like, I just know I want to be out of here. But I know that's not reality. We can't just always up and leave when when the going gets tough, essentially. Even though, yeah, I have been finding myself lately like looking at other avenues to possibly leave and or just get like a break, a reprieve away from a lot of the just personal stuff I've been dealing with. But I recognize, like, it all starts with us. It all starts up here. And I know that for me, it's taken me a long time to realize that my reality is what I create up here first. So if I feel trapped, or if I feel scared, or if I feel, dissatisfied with, my life or anything like that, that's something that I have to fix with myself first. I can't look at the world and expect them to just solve my problems, nor have I ever been a person to look at anyone and be like, oh yeah, you need to fix all my problems. Like, no. I first and foremost always try to help myself first. But then, like I said earlier, at the start of the live, when you when you're a person and you feel like you're doing all the things that you've been told, to remedy whatever issues that you're going through the the legal ways and doing things. It's like, but you're still not getting any type of clarity and or help with what you're asking for. It can make you feel like a type of way. So that's why I said, like, with the other spectrum of people who are at that level where they're like, yeah, we're just tired, so if y'all ain't gonna give it to us, we gonna take it. I understand that. I really do. Am I saying I'm at that place? Not necessarily, but I can see how someone can get to that place. But on the other side, there's that optimistic little perky part of me that's still like, oh, it's not all bad. It's not, it's not, everyone isn't like that. Everything isn't, crap. And then, like I said, seeing the trend about, Black people calling gingers black, and was like, I don't know why, it really perked me up. It really made my day for some reason, even though I'm not ginger. But I've always had a affinity for those people. I can't explain it, and I know from other people who were talking about it, black and ginger and or otherwise, were saying the same. Like, it's kind of like relating it to the quote unquote black experience, that they've kind of endured sort of what we've endured. And it's like, why is that the case, where it seems like people who are authentically just genuinely being who they are, in this case, people, who can't help that their hair is a certain color, or that they are on the lighter end of a spectrum when it comes to their skin and stuff like that. Like, why would someone just inherently hate them simply for that reason, something that they can't help? And I'm like, as a quote unquote black woman, I can understand that, because I've received some of the same type of hate. The way that I wear my hair, I've been called a POS, and I'm assuming that's simply just because of what I look like. If not, whatever reason, I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, I've always kind of resonated with these people and didn't really understand why. But hearing a lot of their stories, hearing a lot of them, talking about their experiences and being bullied and being picked on as children, to the point where some of these individuals have to, homeschool, or just wanted to give up on life because, they were being hated on so bad. And I'm like, that's really sad. But then on the flip side, to see all that come full circle to now, where a community of people can see the struggles and the pain that these individuals have gone through, and say, hey, you know what, we got y'all. Like, if nobody else won't accept you, we got y'all. And there's something so comforting about that. But I feel like, when it comes to the community that I belong to, it's like we're always so quick to give that type of reciprocity to others, but we still likely sometimes don't experience that ourselves. And it's so interesting to me how, even when we as a people are being persecuted or mistreated or what have you, that we can still find light within ourselves, even though it might just be a little candle in a corner burning, and we can still find that light to give to somebody else. Like, that completely just warmed my heart. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I got to do some more inner work. I got to go back within. I got to readdress myself. I got to recondition myself to not allow this negative stuff to permeate so deeply that I lose who I am and I stop sharing my light. Because that's what that's what a lot of these situations will make you feel like you just don't want to give any more of the good of yourself, because you've been hurt, or you've been you've been disrespected, or you've been mistreated in a way where it's like, you know what, fine. You want me to be the bad guy? Okay, I be the bad guy. And I can admit that's where I was. I did a video on it, that, if people want me to play the villain, I'll be the villain. Because for me, it just comes naturally, in terms of feeling like people ostracizing me to a point where, no matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter how I present myself, no matter how kind I am, no matter, if I'm having a bad day, good day, people just take me the wrong way sometimes. And it's like, okay, like, you want me to be the evil step mother or the wicked witch of the West in your story? Cool, I'll be that. But I'm recognizing, like, no, I shouldn't accept that, because that's not who I am. And I don't want to be seen that way. I don't want to be portrayed that way. But I'm also not going to go out here, trying to, trying to fix every narrative about the way someone thinks about me. Like, that's not my job to do that work. That person has to do their due diligence to figure out, well, why don't I like this person? Well, why, and the same goes for me and everybody else involved. Like, if we do have any things that we dislike about others or whatever, we have to go within. We have to address those prejudices. And I'm speaking to myself also. I don't want y'all to think I'm excluding myself from this conversation, because the first person that holds me accountable is me. And that's the only way that I can get on here and even talk to you all about it, because I'm doing the work too. If I wasn't doing the work, then I should just shut up, right? I shouldn't say anything about it. But I am doing the work. So that's why I feel like I am able to speak on it from my perspective while I'm working through it. And it's, like I said, just being real. It's been hard lately, to just feel positive about a lot of things. I mean, again, I'm grateful for what I have, but at the same time, it's like, man, the way this world can lay it on, sometimes it can be a little bit much. But like I said, just seeing little glimmers of hope and people unifying over something so just simple, it just really, really like helped me snap back into perspective of, that there is a light at the end. The light might feel like it's so far away, in terms of us being able to get back into humility and morality, and not so much right and wrong, because I feel like a lot of what we're seeing being presented to the world is right and wrong. It's like, yeah, but it feels like it's left up to personal interpretation at this point. Like, I don't feel like there is just a definitive right and wrong. It really at this point depends on who you're talking to, and how people view things as right and wrong. And that's more so in regards of, like I said, some of the political and like civil cases I'm seeing circulating around right now with certain individuals who've done certain crimes. And then, one community looks at it like, oh, it's negative, it's bad. And then another community is like, no, it was self-defense. It was good. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm trying not to go too far into that. And I'm trying not to throw out those cases, because again, I know these are still very hot button issues and topics and stuff like that. But it just really makes you, readdress and reassess things for yourself first and foremost, because that's what you have to do. You can't control how anyone else feels about things or looks at things, but the only person that you can work on your perspective about things is you, ultimately. And that's why I'm trying to do the work to continue to deconstruct myself, in my mind, about a lot of the negative connotations I've adapted over the last few years. Like, I feel like it's just kind of been an overwhelming, and I don't know if any of you relate, or if I'm just, speaking in a loud room, speaking to the wall or whatever. But I'm just being honest. I'm being completely clear that, you know, this world's been had problems. Like, this stuff ain't just start this year. It ain't just start today. These are things that's been going on for quite some time. So I do feel like we are just on the cusp of some type of drastic change, because, it's like, how much longer can we truly go on in this manner, with all of this division and unrest and negativity and just ugliness, basically, before we collapse on ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And that whole saying, talking about a house divided amongst itself can't stand. And that's what I feel like. I feel like we are in a very big house that has all of these different sides and people who are taking all these different sides and perspective. But I feel like we all are kind of losing sight of what matters most, which is that in times like this, we need more, like I said, true community. We need more being able to look out for each other. Maybe not, you ain't got to mind everybody's business, but I'm just saying, like, being able to, pull together when stuff really gets tough, because stuff is changing around us, and it's affecting and it's impacting everyone. But at the same time, not to overextend yourself, not to go and try to put someone else's fire out before you address yours. You get what I'm saying? So it's like a fine balancing act, that can be hard to do if you don't do the work, and if you don't look for the positive things. And I know that there are some people who struggle with that a lot harder than others. So I'm, here saying that you're not alone, that I see you, and that I understand wholeheartedly how difficult, this life can be, and how unfair it can be, how just disappointing it can be at times. And, and this is, like I said, coming from a person who typically is an optimistic individual, but even I have been feeling like, certain burdens and weights of just, those things of the world that's going on. And it's like, yeah, I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of hearing about it. But it's kind of that whole, like, you still got to be aware of what's going on, so you're not caught off guard or caught by surprise by, like, if there's a drastic, situation that pops up, you gotta be aware. I feel like the only people that can afford to really just be completely disconnected from everything that's going on are people who, aren't being impacted. And that typically are the individuals that have the means to completely just deuce out if they want to. And at a moment's notice, like I know some of them have already done, going, fleeing to other countries, fleeing to their own private islands and bunkers and all this other stuff. And I'm like, well, the average everyday individual doesn't have access to those type of resources to just leave when stuff gets tough. So, you know, this social media interaction stuff is how a lot of us escape. It's how a lot of us find community. It's how a lot of us find those groups of individuals that are like-minded like ourselves, who are trying to just make the best out of the situations that we're in and what we have. But it's getting harder, it's becoming more bleak, because it kind of feels like it's pointless. This stuff can really make you feel like, yeah, all this is meaningless, none of this matters, none of this is going to change anything, nothing's going to change. And it's like, if we start going down that slippery slope, then it's like, yeah, if that's what we think, then that's what's going to present itself, because it all starts up here. So I don't know, but I do feel like there are levels of accountability that need to be had, because oftentimes I see people, when they do things or say things, they just want to go ahead and move past it. They don't want to address it. They don't want to essentially have their feet held over the fire, meaning being held accountable. They just want to be able to run right past it. And it's like, no, baby, sometimes, or most of the time, we're going to have to talk about this. We're going to have to hash it out. Words are going to have to be exchanged in order for everyone to be heard and to be addressed, so that we can move forward as a unit. But when people aren't given that opportunity to air their grievances, essentially, and hold those individuals accountable for the things that they say and or do, then that breeds resentment, that breeds, hate. And sometimes that breeds, all these other extra stereotypes. And, and again, speaking for myself, like I'm not proud of some things I've said and done here in the past. But I recognize that a lot of it was due to just the situation. It was situational, oftentimes, just the stuff I was being put through. And I'm like, I don't understand why I'm going through this. I don't bother nobody. I stay to myself. Just going down all those lists of things. But I recognize that sometimes too, like, other people are hurting too. And that's the only way that they know how to deal with what they're going through, is by hurting other people. That whole, like, I hate that saying, but hurt people. But it can be true. It doesn't mean that it has to be, because I'm a person that has been hurt multiple times, but I've not made it my life's mission to just go about my life trying to hurt people. Like, that's not, so that's what I'm saying. That's a personal choice. And that also means that these are people who don't want to take accountability for the parts that they play in the roles in the situation of things going on around them, in terms of what they've participated in or contributed to, etc. However, with all of this being said, I recognize that we have a lot of people wearing masks. We're smiling on the outside and on the external, but on the inside, people are sad, people are depressed, people are just like at their wits end with a lot of things, whether it be financial, whether it be, with work, school, just anything at this point, I feel like can set someone off. And it's like, as the people that we are, we should try our best to do no harm at the very least, because you do not know what someone is going through. You do not know what someone is experiencing. You do not know where their mental state is. So to go out in these times and still be out here provoking people, and like, you see, like I said, if any of you are paying attention to the news and the cases that are going on, you see where that gets folks. Like, people are at a place where they're willing to do something about it. And you know, I personally would never want to put myself or anyone else in that position. But at the same time, if you're the individual that's being put in those positions, you have every right to stand up for yourself. You have every right to say something. Again, we can debate the semantics of, oh, going it the legal route and the constitutional route and all that stuff, because again, even with that, it seems like it works for some and it doesn't work for others. So it's like, you know, it continually puts people in this weird, you know, position where it's like, okay, I went, I did what they told me to do, still nothing. So it's like, yeah, it makes people feel like they got to take stuff into their own hands. And I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't. But I can understand how a person can get to that point. You know, this stuff is just really, it's really draining. And I feel that way, especially because I'm an empath. So I can always feel people's energy. Even when I don't want to, I can always pick up on subtle, you know, changes and reverberations in people's tone and voice and stuff like that. And, you know, what people say without saying, you get what I'm saying? Like the little innuendos and like secret languages that we oftentimes speak with our body language also, is another big like key and giveaway. And so as much as people think that this is like such a good time right now, it's really not. Like the world in and of itself is is at a civil unrest. There's, you know, stuff breaking out every day. It seems like there's something new popping up and that's happening and going on. But I'm encouraging those of us who, like myself, are just trying to do the best that we can with what we have. You're still trying to go out into this world and breed positivity in some way, shape, or form. You know, even with my video right now, I just could have came on here and just complained about everything that's going wrong in my life, like I've been doing. But instead, I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to take this opportunity to, you know, be level-headed, to be calm about it, because oftentimes a calm response can turn away wrath. And in this moment, I'm not trying to keep that energy going, because it's not sustainable, at least not for me. Like I'm just not a evil person. Like I'm not a hateful person in my heart and in my core. Like it's I don't know how other people do it, you know, those people who just keep that type of energy. But for me, I can't. That's one area I can't keep up with that. Like it's not sustainable for me. It's not ideal for me. It's not healthy for me. But you know, some people, they make that their whole mainstay. They make that their life, to just be hateful and hurtful to other people. But that's not me. Um, I'm not, you know, I don't see myself as a saint. I don't see myself as someone who does no wrong. I've done plenty wrong, you know, and I'm not proud of those things and those times and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, what makes me different is that I can admit that and not feel like it takes away from who I am collectively, because we all make mistakes. We all say and do things at times that we wish we wouldn't have said or done, or, you know, wish we could take back. But it is what it is. And being a solid person just means that you own your shit, you know, you own it. You don't try to get out of it. And it kind of makes me think about like the final, I know there's about to be another Final Destination installment movie coming out. And it makes me think about it from that perspective, that, you know, when people do try to, you know, get themselves out of situations that they know they put themselves in and they know that they created for themselves, but still turn around and want to, you know, act like they didn't do anything. It's kind of like that. Like, even if you're able to pass that juju or bad luck or whatever on to someone else, guess what? It's still going to come back around full circle. Like, it's going to come for you at some point in time. So the best thing to do is just to not be in the crosshairs in the first place. Like, and how you do that is by just trying to put positivity out there. And I believe it's that whole what you put out is what you get back. So that's why I recognize for me, I'm like, okay, well, lately, a lot of the stuff I felt like I had been experiencing, I'm like, well, I wasn't putting negativity out there, but I'm like, I may not have inherently been doing that, but in my own way, like, yeah, I was, playing the game. And I recognize now, like, yeah, I'll never win this game because it's not my game. I didn't create it. So I'm not going to beat it. It's kind of like that whole in the casino, they say the house always wins. That's what it feels like to me. I'm like, I can't beat a system. I can't beat a game that I A, didn't create, and B, that I don't know how to play. I'm just, stumbling in the dark trying to figure it out. But I'm like, yeah, it's not for me to figure out because it's not my game. It's not essentially my issue, you know. But hindsight being 2020, and I can see this now, that by sometimes participating in that or getting drawn into the negativity and then allowing it to, leave its mark on us, we sometimes carry that out in the world in little ways. It doesn't have to be a grand, gesture, but like for instance, like flicking someone off in traffic. I'm guilty. In the last week, I flicked somebody off because they know what they did. But anyway, I'm like, yeah, what they did was wrong, but I didn't have to return that evil. And I recognize that now. Like in the moment, I couldn't see past it. And that's how sucked in that negativity will get you, where it's like you don't see nothing but that. And so that's why I knew, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to go within again. I'm gonna have to find the light. I'm gonna have to get back to finding the positive, because as long as I allow myself to stay engrossed in this negativity, I'm gonna lose. That's just that's just facts. I'm going to lose because that's not my habitat. That's not my realm. And it's one thing to be attacked for being a positive person, but it's another thing to be attacked or made to feel a certain way when you're doing dirt too. So that's what I'm saying. Like, again, calling my own self out. So, which isn't normally my character. That's what I said. I've never been a person, oh, they got me, so I got to get them, like that, or being petty. But I'm like, now I'm like, I don't want none of that. I just want my peace. That's it. And I know so many people can relate to that. We just want our peace. We just want to be able to live and work and take care of our families and just be happy. Like that's it. Like for me, that's enough. Like I don't want the whole world. I don't want to, the mansion in the hills and all. Like, again, for people who strive for that, good for you. But that's not what everyone wants. I'm happy with the little bit that I have. Like, I don't need the whole world to be happy. But it also would make it easier, if I could see that reflected in the world around me. But of course, I can't change people, unless they do the work and want to change and see something that they want to fix and change. Only person I can change is me. So I'm starting with the woman in the mirror. And I'm encouraging you all to do the same if you feel like you too have been struggling to just find the light, find the positivity in this world, or just in yourself. Go and look in that mirror. Go and talk to yourself. Ain't nothing wrong with talking to yourself. As long as you don't respond back to yourself in the third person, you good. But go and talk to yourself. Speak positive things to yourself. Tell yourself you're a good human being. You're a good person. Pour all those positive affirmations into yourself. Tell yourself that you're strong. Tell yourself that you're smart. Tell yourself that you can overcome anything, because you can. But like I said, if we don't affirm these things to ourselves, first and foremost, you can't look for the world to do that for you. Because as we see, people are being let down by the same system in the same world that they look to, like I said, for affirmation. And it's like, well, if all of that goes away tomorrow, where does that leave you? Where does that leave you? It leaves you hating yourself because you were looking to others in this world to affirm you and to essentially be that light for you, that positivity. It's like, it's cool to see the positive out there, but you got to create it within yourself first and foremost. And I feel like it's only then do we appreciate it that much more. Man, I just I'm sorry. I didn't know I was gonna get this tapped in, because originally, like, I just wanted to come on here and talk about this topic, but I just feel like I got all these little downloads while I was speaking to you all. And for those of you that are here with me, thank you for sharing your time with me and being with me as I muddle through my mental processes, because that's oftentimes how it goes for me. I think about so many things all the time, all at once, and I don't oftentimes vocalize it well to other people. Like, I know what I mean when I say what I mean, but sometimes it can come out a little disheveled to other people. So thank you for being patient with me. But everything that I'm saying, like, again, I'm doing it myself. Like, I'm not, I don't have anything to stand to gain to sit here and fake and cap like, oh, my life's just so horrible. Like, it's not. Like, I'm not saying that my life is horrible, but I definitely see the areas where I need to work on. And I think a lot of times people get so caught up with the physical things, like, oh, going to school to get a higher education, which, again, nothing wrong for those who do those things, getting the better paying job, the better paying career, all these physical things. But a lot of times people neglect the mental, they neglect the spiritual, they neglect, the inner self dialogue, they neglect themselves in those retrospects, because in their mind they're like, oh, well, no one else is saying something's wrong with me, so I'm cool. And it's like, yeah, but there will be and can be people all around you who won't tell you that there's something wrong with you, or that, wait, maybe the way you think or handle things is a little, a little out there. And that's because they want you to look like the fool. They want you to look like the crazy friend. They want you to be the person that everyone in the group, when y'all break from each other, they can go and have their little secret little chat. Yeah, you heard what she said, girl. I don't even know why we hang with her, but yet they still hang around you. Because for some people, that's, you're that battery for them. You keep them going. And in all honesty, it might just be that you're the honest friend. You're the one that doesn't mind calling stuff out exactly the way that you see it, because not everyone has the courage to do that. Like I said earlier, some people like to bury their head in the sand and hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, but that, that only works for so long, before people ultimately have to see, they have to wake up and see what's really going on in front of them. So, that's why I'm not sitting here advocating to look to your friends or those closest to you to tell you if you're tripping or if you're bugging. There's nothing wrong with wanting to hear other people's perspectives, but ultimately the decision about anything that you do for yourself should come down to you. And I personally had to do that myself this weekend. I had to just kind of, I like to call it like shutting down and rebooting, kind of like a robot or like a PC. Because that's just how I've always, oops, sorry, I'm making waffles for the kids, but that's how I've always seen myself. Like, because there's times where my mind is just going a mile a fucking minute, and I'm like, bro, if I don't sit down somewhere and sort this shit out, like, I'm gonna lose it. Like, my mind's just gonna go. I'm gonna start short circuiting and stuff, but for some people, that's not as easy to do or to tap into, like how it is for myself, because I've been doing it for quite some time. Yeah, regrouping, which is, another way to call it. But I like to call it taking stock, taking accountability, going within, self-assessment, self-evaluation. And I just don't feel like people do a lot of that these days. Like, I think that's what, why I feel like I have such a hard time personally, because I'm a person that's always doing that. So it's easy for me to see like, okay, actually, you tripping, right? You need to calm it down. But but for others, and that's what I'm saying, that's the conundrum where you can't force anyone else to do it. But yeah, that's my two cents on, finding the light, aka finding the positivity, or the things that keeps you going. Just keep looking for that, keep creating it first and foremost. And, hopefully one day, we'll see it manifested in this world on a mass scale. It won't just be just in your life, but in general. Because I feel like if enough people are able to harness that type of light and positivity and love, and we're all presenting that out to the world, guess what? The world is going to have no choice but to reflect that. But what we're seeing right now reflected in the world is a lot of chaos, is a lot of, it's just a lot of uncertainty, a lot of distrust, a lot of self-doubt. And that's because that's how people are feeling. So all of those feelings being projected into the world is muddling things up. But if we all get on one accord with the light, with the positivity, with the love, dropping the hate, dropping all that other stuff, having those hard conversations with each other about our differences, and so that we can officially bury the hatchet and, move past genuinely and honestly, then I feel like that's where we'll really see the change reflected outside. Other than that, it's going to remain the same. But just like with anything, nothing lasts forever. And that's even something I've been having to remind myself, like, nothing lasts forever. Like, it feels like it, but it doesn't. And we have to continue to, oh, hello. We have to continue to do the best that we can do with what we have. I'm not asking anyone to do anything more than I wouldn't be willing to do myself. And I want to continue to try my best to present myself in a positive way. Again, I don't always do that on camera or off camera. I'm telling on myself right now. I've been behaving poorly, and I know this, and I'm working on it. It's just, it's been hard. It's been hard. It's been really, really hard. And I know why that is hard for me, personally. But, for some of you, it might just come easier to you in this moment. But for me, it's just been because I put up with a lifetime of disrespect and people coming for me and, doing all these type of things towards me, and me just being like, what the flip did I do to deserve this? But even in this case, it's like, that doesn't even bother me anymore. Like, that part, that's not what's bothering me right now. Like I said, my biggest thing is just continuing to show up in a way for myself first and foremost, and then for my family, where I can be mentally stable. I can be present, because I didn't always live in the present. In the past, I always kind of like would see the future, and I would be in the past a lot. So this is the most like present I feel like I've been in my entire life. I've always struggled with like keeping my mind and keeping myself anchored to what's happening right now, not worrying about, 2, 3, 4 months from now, not worrying about the past stuff, but right here, right now. And it's tough. Like, I see why I did that a lot then, because it was an escape in certain scenarios. But this is that situation where I can't escape this. Like, I have to, again, it's that whole, you can't go around it, you can't go over it, you got to go through it. And that's what I'm feeling in this moment. Like, we just got to go through it. And it definitely helps when you have a community, you have like-minded individuals that you can also be like, man, you know what? I'm just not doing good right now. Like, I'm really struggling, and that's okay. We can struggle together. We can struggle upwards, because that's because that's how I've been feeling. Like, man, I feel like I'm still struggling. Like, no matter what I do, I feel like I'm always being put in these positions and put through these trials by fire and stuff. And it's like, when am I going to be done with this dang test? Like, God, dog, like, how long is this going to go for? And I'm laughing, but truthfully, it's because I'm like, it's like you kind of laugh to get through it. But ain't nothing funny about this mess. Like, if you are dealing with your own personal struggles and got stuff going on, then you get what I'm saying. But if you one of those blessed individuals, everything's honky dory, you fine, everything's cool. Hey, that's cool. And that might be for now, but don't mean it'll always be that way. Just like I have my moments where everything seems fine and then everything seems like it's on fire. I don't know why that is, but it's just life. And I'm doing my best to continue to find that light. I want y'all to continue doing the same. I guess before closing out, I will just let you all know that I'm still working on some things for the channel. I'm doing my best, like with trying to create this platform, or I think I mentioned before, the Discord. I'm just not so savvy with it, so I'm taking my time with it little by little, but I want to be able to have that place where we can come together even more so and like kind of interact with each other on a more intimate level, and be able to talk about various different things. So y'all can, continue to look out for that. I have the Patreon and then the YouTube memberships and the bio. There's some other stuff I'm working on. I'm hoping to bring you all, for those who wish to support. The most easiest way people can support is just by liking, subscribing, sharing the videos, and just, commenting and just ultimately interacting, participating, so we can continue to get these messages out there. Because I do feel like, this is what the world needs. More and more people need to be able to have a safe space, to just air out whatever it is they're feeling in a healthy way, healthy-ish way. Because it's tough, but we gonna get through this together. We gonna keep pushing. But thank you all for joining this live, and I hope your Tuesday is off to a great start. If not, I hope it does get better. Don't be like me. Don't be like me. If you can do something positive for someone, do that. Because like I said, I haven't been being that kind lately. I was about to say nice. I ain't never been nice, but I've never been excuse me, not never, but I have been struggling lately with stuff like that. But I realize that that's another part. I feel like why I feel so out of control with some of that stuff, because I'm not being me 100%. Like, I'm trying to get back to that. And I know for me, acts of service is my love language. And then, but I also like to give, and I also like to help others. But situations I've been finding myself in lately has kind of been making me close my hand a little bit. So I'm like, no, I just got to find the right people to give that stuff to. So if you can do something kind for someone, do that. Buy them a cup of coffee, let them in front of you while you're driving, whatever you can or whatever do. Like, let's try to push more positivity. And I'm going to do the same. Y'all hold me accountable, because y'all know I'm gonna come on here and tell on myself anyway. Like, if I ain't been doing what I said I was gonna be doing, because that's just how real I am. And at the very least, try to do no harm. At the very least, try. That's it. But again, thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe out there. And until next time, see you.